have one of the preeminent large animal veterinarians and the country's leading lameness specialist who has agreed to speak to all of you for about 5 minutes and take any questions you may have. Dr. Steve Allday has been practicing for nearly 30 years and has a long history of working with thoroughbred racehorses champions. Also, he and his wife Kim have dedicated their lives using cutting-edge science to develop all-natural products that have absolutely improved the lives of animals and people. As you know, the kind of access to this veterinarian like Dr. Allday is priceless. So gather around and let's get started. You need the 411, not the 911. Ladies and gentlemen, the alternate way with Dr. Steve Allday. Give him a hand. Let's get him up here. And also with him is world-renowned horse clinician Richard Winters is going to be up here with him and with him as well. So y'all give him a hand here real quick. All right, how are you guys doing? Those mics should be on.
Yeah, we're on.
All right, all right.
Good, John.
Yeah, I'm glad. We really appreciate y'all joining us here because I know I was reading that, and that's kind of the introduction, but I'm going to say it for myself here. You know, I use the product. You know, I've got animals, I've got dogs, I've got a horse on the product, I got a dog, I've got a father with arthritis on the product. So, you know, it's not just for animals. But, Richard, we're going to start with you real quick. Give us a little bit of your history. What do you got going, buddy?
Well, thank you. What a privilege it is to be here and to be with Dr. Allday and Luberson. But for me, like probably so many folks out here today, I never wanted to be an astronaut or a policeman or a fireman. All I ever wanted to be was a cowboy.
Right.
And so I just looked for those opportunities ever since I was a little kid. For the last 30 years, I've been a horseman, clinician, and trainer, traveling around the country and around the world, just helping the average person get along better with their horses, communicate an idea to them. And we specialize in the reined cow horses and the performance horses, the horses that we train and show ourselves.
Sure, sure. We've got, I don't know if we're ready to do that or not, but do you have that promo? I want to do that deal real quick and kind of look at a deal that Richard's got going here. Let's watch this for just a second. This is pretty cool. That is really neat. While we're watching that, Dr. Allday, talk to us about your history a little bit and what you've done for the industry and Luberson and kind of a lifesaver.
Well, the short version of this is that I was born and raised on a horse farm, and my dad was a trainer, and he also was a blacksmith too. So I didn't like the prospects of being a horse trainer very well.
Yeah, sure.
For me, because I probably wasn't that good at it.
Right.
But, and then I didn't.
Never stopped me.
Yeah.
I know. Some people were much better at it than others, but
yeah.
And then it turned out, you know, the blacksmith part was that was tough.
Right.
You know, so
absolutely.
I ended up, it was either be a horse trainer or be smart enough to go to vet schools. It turned out I wasn't too bad at being a veterinarian. So,
right, sure.
So it worked out pretty good for me. And then I got really blessed at a young age. I met a gentleman on the East Coast who was a pioneer in lameness work and was the first guy to use hyaluronic acid, a purified form in horses' joints back in the 50s and 60s. And then my dad took some horses to him when I was a kid. And as it turned out, he was a very, very influential person, and then eventually a mentor, because I did an externship with him when I was in vet school.
Right.
And as luck will have it, I ended up getting a job at the Meadowlands in New Jersey, working on harness horses, standardbreds, back in the 80s. And I came from New York to because I'm a Texas A&M grad.
Yes, sir.
And I went to New York and then came to New Jersey at the Meadowlands, and then worked with Kenny Sieber, and Kenny and Dr. Churchill, neither one of them is no longer with us, so I guess I'm what's left of the legacy. But they were tremendous people and very influential in my life, and good friends as well, and they shared a lot with me, and I feel really blessed to have known them.
Sure, absolutely. That is a great story. Richard, in your travels, you know, you're a Luberson guy. I'm sure you use it, you know, as far as your horse clinics go. Talk a little bit about what you're doing for Luberson, you know, kind of down the road here.
You bet. Well, in the last 3 years, I've had the privilege of being associated with Luberson and being one of our partners. But the coolest thing about my association with Luberson is I was Joe Sixpack going down to the store and buying the product before I ever knew Steve Allday, before I ever knew where their headquarters were. My veterinarian, who I took my performance horses to continually to have their hocks injected when they got a little bit sore in the reined cow horse thing, I said, is there anything that I can do to not see you so much?
Right.
It's expensive to see you.
Absolutely.
It cost me $1,000 by the time I walk out of this vet hospital every time. He said, well, if you keep using your horses and asking them to perform at that level, you'll have to come and see me once in a while. But if you want to see me less, why don't you start your horses on Luberson?
Yep.
Never heard of the product? I said, because I'm not much of a supplement guy, and I'm a little bit skeptical about, you know, quacky witch doctor, snake oil things. But my vet was a very serious performance horse veterinarian, and I knew that he would not have me use something just for the sake of making me feel better.
Yes, sir.
And so I started my horses on it, and they've been on it consistently ever since. Any of my horses that I'm asking to step up to that next level, I'm looking to keep them healthy. I'm looking to keep them out of the veterinary center. And so that's just a part of their daily regimen to get the Luberson and the big stops, the turnarounds, working the cow. You know, we're asking horses to do some things they don't normally do out there on their own.
Yes, sir.
And so this little something extra to keep those joints lubricated has made a big difference for us. And so it's a fun association for me in that regard. I'm not just selling my soul to the highest bidder, but it's a product that I believe in.
Absolutely. And this product, this isn't something you mixed up in your garage here. I mean, this is there's a lot behind this deal. Walk us through, you know, how this kind of came about, or you know, the scientific part of it, I guess you'd call it.
Well, we wanted to find a way that we didn't have to inject horses as often.
Right.
I had a guy that I worked for with the race horses by the name of Frank Stronach, who owns Santa Anita Park.
Right,
he owns Gulfstream. Was the CEO of Magna Auto Parts. And so he's a multi-billionaire, and he's a big breeder, one of the biggest in the world. And he told me, he says, boy, we sure use a lot of this HA in a lot of these horses, you know, and I was his manager and veterinarian.
Right.
And he says, you ought to find a way to get this stuff in them, you know, a little bit more cost effective so we don't have to stick them as often. So I took it as, you know, good advice, or, you know, I mean, I said, you know, that's a good idea. Maybe we ought to do that.
Yeah, sure.
So we came up with, I started experimenting, or at least, you know, coming around at first with an oral product in 1998, the year I worked for him privately. And as it turned out, it planted a seed, and that nurtured into a product where I came up with a prototype around, you know, 99, 2000, 2001. I did some trials on the track with a couple of outfits, and then by that time we came up with what we thought was a useful product, and I used it on some horses of my own. And as it turned out, what we did was I went out in search of a commercial manufacturer that would do a really, really high quality job, because this is something that's not easy to prepare in the high quality level, because it can grow things and it can, you know, be contaminated easily. And so I wanted to come up with a good, high quality product that had a good safety mechanism, a preservative mechanism in it. And in 2004 we came up with the prototype of what we utilize now. And we've had great success with it. We sell it around the world, and we've had a lot of really, really high powered, you know, intelligent, very, very influential veterinarians and horsemen that have been, you know, behind it. I think the person that Richard's referring to is Van Snow, correct? And Van was a Southern California veterinarian that I knew when I lived in California, and he was a big fan of the product. And in fact, he came up to me at the convention center and grabbed me one time and told me, he says, you know, Sam, you make a really good product, and I recommend it to a lot of people.
Ain't that cool?
Now, Van's no longer with us. He passed away, but a lot of the NFR, PRCA Cowboys utilized Van's services, and he was a really, really high-powered and a very, very good clinician and practitioner.
Ladies and gentlemen, just to recap here, I'm talking with the creator of Luberson, Dr. Steve Allday, and also Richard Winters, world-renowned clinician, which he's using the product and spreading the word, you know, for Luberson out on the field. But I'm going to start off here. Not that I haven't been asking questions, but I'm going to start off with a question here. But I believe we have a microphone. Do we have a microphone out here? We're going to open this deal up here in just a second for you guys to ask these guys questions, you know, regarding these products and that kind of stuff. But Dr. Allday, we've talked about this. It's not just for animals; it's for humans as well. Touch on that a little bit.
Well, the original patent was for actually warm-blooded vertebrates, which humans and dogs, and, you know, fall in the same category. So as it turned out, I started giving it to my dog. I had a border collie that started getting sore, and he couldn't chase the four-wheeler anymore. So I gave it to him until basically the day he died, which he stayed around until he was 16. And as it turned out, you know, we ended up, a lot of the people came to us to utilize the horse product. Said, hey, can I take that horse product, you know? I said, well, I take it every day. I mean, it really helps me. So we ended up making a human product, which basically was an all-natural flavor. Now it's a grape flavor.
Yes, sir.
And now we have a huge following within the human line as well. So it will improve your quality of life, because the bottom line is everyone is going to suffer from degenerative joint disease to some extent, whether it be human, horse, or just canine dog.
Just wear and tear, I guess.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So to maintain your quality of life for both you, your horse, and your dog, the quicker you get on it, the better off you're going to be in the long run.
Right, sure. Anybody got a question? If not, if you do, just raise your hand out there about your animals or your grandparents or whatever it is. But I've got another question. Is it okay to be proactive? I mean, does your animal, do you have to start seeing signs of soreness or lameness, or is it okay to just go ahead and put them on the product?
I'll tell you what I do with thoroughbreds, the outfits that I advise and work for, that's try to sell, international caliber horses, or at least high quality horses in the industry, the thoroughbred racing industry. They start their babies on. The reason why, they're going to get wear and tear. And the quicker that you can maintain, the quality of the fluid in their joints, the quicker they repair them, the longer that you're going to have them as far as activity is concerned. If you wait till the damage is done, it comes back to one simple thing. It's preventative medicine versus restorative medicine. What you find is that if you're proactive preventatively, a lot of times you will never have to go the restorative route, meaning that you won't have to have joint surgery, chip fracture removal, injections is often, things of this nature. So I think the earlier that you're proactive on the preventative side, the less likely and the less expensive it's going to be on the restorative or the reactive situation. So that's why we make the tagline 411 or information versus 911, emergency.
When it's kind of too late, that kind of deal. What, anybody have a question? Like, all you got to do is raise your hand. Lindsay, we got a question right here. We'll make sure that mic's working too real quick.
Hello?
There he is.
I got a couple questions, actually. The first one, we live in Canada, and I don't believe I've seen it up there yet, Luberson. So is that going to be something you guys are looking into, trying to get it up in Canada too, or?
Actually, we already have an application in now. They just passed a new law in Canada for veterinary non-invasive or not, like I said, they're not high-end medical stuff. And we've actually got an application and just got it back from Ottawa. And we're on the, we're working on a distributor right now in Canada, and we're right on the verge of getting it started here in 2013.
Awesome. Second question kind of goes back to the human purpose. I'm getting my knee scoped in about a month. And I assume that will help my quality of life after I get that done, hey? Luberson.
Well, I think it'll help it a lot. Actually, I've had a number of people that have had chronic arthritis in their knees and have taken injections and things of this nature. And even one owner in particular basically was supposed to have knee replacement. He went on this product and he has never had the knee replacement, and he's in his 70s now. He's one of the biggest horse owners here in the United States of thoroughbred racehorses, Ken Ramsey. And I mean, it was an interesting story because he started on it because we put his horses on it. And at the time, though, he started it back in 2005. He had, 2004, he had champion turf horse that year, a horse called Kitten's Joy, who stands at stud, and a horse called Roses in May he stole to Japan that basically started on this product and made $5 million after he was on it and never had one joint injected during that time. Nice. And the reason I know that is because I was doing the vet work, and if he got injected, I'd have been doing it.
Awesome. Well, thanks a lot. We'll be looking for it when it hits up there.
You know, I'll just mention one other thing in regard to the Luberson HU, the human product. I think it was a little bit surprising to me when some of the guys at your plant told me this, that this human product has really been taking off in the golf industry.
Sure.
Because those guys, you know, middle-aged, older guys get a little arthritis or swings get to hurting them. And so it's funny, I understand some of the guys from Luberson, they go to the golf shows, they take off their cowboy shirts, put on their golf shirts, and go out there and they're pushing and selling a lot of that product, and those guys are eating that stuff up because it's just making them feel that much better.
Yeah, that's a great point, and thank you for the question, by the way. And folks, this is a laid-back deal, so if you have a question, just raise your hand. I've got a question. Do you guys, do you hear from stock contractors as far as bulls and bucking horses and that kind of stuff? I guess they talk to you all about getting their the animals on products, the high-performing animals there?
Well, actually, we do have some bucking bulls that have been in the CBR, and I think some PRCA bulls have been on as well. We've had some guys using on bulls, futurity bulls, but we've got a ton of steers and livestock that are on a livestock product that we make as well. And it's the same situation. They put on so much mass that they become sore, and they want to make sure they move good because they're judged on that as well, and it makes a big difference. Sure. Makes a huge difference in them. So we have pig guys that show pig, around the major livestock show, and also steers, and they've had great success with it so far.
Sure.
Along with another product we make called Reborn, and also the commercial product Maxstrom, which is purified sterile whole colostrum, which they utilize to put on mass and keep these animals healthy and help them convert higher and keep them healthy, and so they can go ahead and be on the road with them and they don't get set back. They keep eating and drinking, this sort of thing.
Right. As far as too, you just kind of struck up a deal with me. Fitness is a big deal these days, as far as humans go, and building mass, being in shape and all this. Is there, can somebody, is there a website or something, that where y'all recommend dosage, this kind of deal as far as for humans, or is it just, one pump for each person a day, or how's that work?
Well, it just depends on who it is. I mean, you have to take most cases at an individual basis, but what we find is that it's probably best if you just start out with a tablespoon, and then increase it accordingly, take it twice a day till you get comfortable, and then you can maintain yourself after that. But the bottom line is every individual, as I've found, it tends to have a level that they require to help replace the amount of synovial fluid in particular. And then same thing with the Reborn, people take that as well, but the bottom line is with animals, it depends on what you're trying to do. If you're trying to build mass, they give them more. If you're trying to keep them healthy, give them less.
I see. That is very interesting. Any more questions from the gallery here? Well, guys, I won't keep y'all all day long. I want to thank you for coming on the show. It's kind of a big deal to me. I mean, I'm a user of the product, and I've got family members that are users. And we appreciate you coming up here and giving this great information. Y'all give a hand for world-renowned clinician Richard Winters and Dr. Steve Allday here with Luberson. Give them a big hand.